Hey, I'm Alexandra Harbushka, founder of Life With Herpes, and today we're going to talk about herpes and your kids and some of the risks that are associated with it. Okay, when we're first diagnosed with herpes, the last thing we want to do is give it to somebody we love, let alone a potential child, right? And of course, when we're first diagnosed, we're like, oh my gosh, can I even have children? That was something that I was worried about. And being 5 months pregnant, these are some of the questions I've of course had, right? So it's really relevant to me right now also, which is great. I've had people over the years ask questions like, hey, can I kiss my kids? Can I hug my kids? I have herpes, all of these questions. I've had a dad come to me and say, hey, I never went swimming with my child because I thought that I would transmit herpes through the pool to my child. I had a mom say, I never held my kid for, held, kissed, did any of that with my child for 2 years because I thought I would give it to my child. And those stories are just, it's scary, it's sad, and so let's just talk about how herpes is transmitted. Herpes is transmitted, HSV1 or HSV2, both, are skin to skin. So they're transmitted through kissing, they're transmitted through touch. They also can be transmitted on other vehicles like a chapstick, like sharing a glass of water, like sharing a bottle, like sharing a washcloth, things like that. When it goes from one person to the other immediately, that can also be transmitted. So with herpes and a child, that is something you're gonna wanna be aware of. Now, let's talk about childbirth. This is a big one. I have other videos that I talk about it, so you can definitely go over there, I'll link it for you. But if the mother has had herpes for a while and does not have an outbreak during delivery, then she's putting the child at less than 1% risk of transmitting herpes to her infant. So that is really, really low. And the key here is you wanna communicate that with your doctor. Let him or her know, hey, I have herpes, I'm gonna have a vaginal birth. This is what I need to go through. So definitely let your child know. Now, let's say in that 1%, herpes does get transmitted to your infant. There are some pretty serious risks. So there are serious risks like viral infections. There are serious risks like getting, the sores in their eyes. That's pretty big. There's also some things like death, blindness, and seizures. So it is really important. Those are things that you obviously don't want your child to get when they are a newborn. They just don't have the immune system to cover it. Now, let's say in the case that you are a mother who does not have herpes, but you have a grandparent, a friend, a colleague come into the hospital to greet your child, and you see they have a cold sore on their mouth. Now, you're gonna have to be like the mama bear and say, hey, I really would appreciate it if you don't hold my child right now, or please go wash your hands. So you're gonna have to do your best to keep your child away from anybody that has an outbreak. It's very, cautious of you. I would do the same, even though I have herpes. If I saw someone with an outbreak, I'd wanna let them know, like, hey, I would really appreciate you not holding my child right now, because I wanna keep my child as healthy as possible for as long as possible, right? There are really, so now let's move past the infancy, let's move into, childhood years, all that. The only thing that's really per se a concern, and it is a really low risk, is your child getting encephalitis. Encephalitis is common in young children or the elderly just because they have low immune systems. And what happens with that, it's inflammation of the brain. So that is a really serious problem. And if that does happen, then you're gonna wanna get your child into the doctor as soon as possible and have that figured out. But again, that is a very, very low risk and very, very rare that would happen to your child. Again, it's really important that I go over this, not to scare you, not to say, gosh, I have herpes, I'm freaked out, I can't hold my kid, I can't touch my kid, I can't do anything. It's letting you know that how herpes is transmitted and what the risks are associated with transmitting it to somebody you love, or especially your child. There's risks in everything that we do throughout the day, herpes, not herpes, getting in a car, swimming, all of these things, there are risks associated. So that's what I want you to know, and you as a parent can make that decision on how you want to, associate with your kids, associate with people you love. Personally, in my opinion, remember the story I told you about the father who never went swimming with his kids? I personally feel that does far worse damage than swimming with your kids. Now, Also, herpes cannot be transmitted in the pool through chlorine. I mean, if that was the case, think about all the pool parties and all that. I mean, it would be rampant. So that's not how it's transmitted. So this family missed out on, you know, pool time with their dad. This woman who never kissed her child because she was worried that she was going to give her child herpes. She actually had genital herpes, not oral herpes. And so she was missing out on loving and kissing. And I personally believe that does so much worse damage for a child to not be kissed and loved and hugged by your mom than worrying about, you know, am I gonna transmit it? Yes, of course we don't wanna transmit it to our child. Yes, of course it's painful. Yes, of course it's annoying. Yes, of course it hurts. Yes, of course your child has to stay home from school if he or she has an outbreak. But enjoying normal life with your child is far more important in my opinion. And I want you to enjoy life with your children. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I look forward to covering that with you. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.